phenomenal viewers, listeners, and supporters. I am your host, Brianna, podcast Bree Harris, and I am so excited to be here. If you're a new audience member, welcome. We are so grateful to have you. Welcome to another episode of Connected, where we discuss all things mental health, recovery, employment, and stories. Before we dive in, the show is sponsored by Contra Costa Behavioral Health Services, Kaiser Permanente, and John Muir. Today, we have two incredible guests from Monument Impact, an organization dedicated to empowering and advocating for low-income immigrant communities in the East Bay for the past 23 years. First, we're joined by the executive assistant. She's a first-generation American and has background working in behavioral health at John Muir. Regina has played a key role in the operations of Monument Impact, ensuring everything runs efficiently behind the scenes. Alongside, we have Amie, the Communications Liaison at Monument Impact. She is responsible for crafting the messages and telling the stories that highlight the impact and needs of the community. Together, they bring a wealth of knowledge and experience on the work being done at Monument Impact and the ongoing fight for social justice in the East Bay. Stick around as we dive into their roles, the mission of Monument Impact, and the power of community advocacy. Welcome, Regina and Amie.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
What a great intro.
Of course. Wrote it myself. All right. Shameless plug now. But welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. It's been a long time coming, but I feel like we built up a good rapport and everything should kind of flow naturally, and it's going to be like some girl talk about Monument Impact.
Sounds good.
Girl talk.
Yeah.
Some girl talk. So how are you guys feeling this morning?
Great. You know, the weather is great. It's time. It's a change of season. So it's awesome.
And to kind of touch on your change of season, you guys are kind of going through a transition period right now, correct?
Yeah.
Or you did?
Yeah, we're working on some new strategic plans. We're working on updating our messaging and narrative, and our team is growing as well. So that's there's so much that happens along just specifically with that.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
the expansion, we've been in Antioch for 2 years. So we're really trying to see what's that looking like, and just trying to like really meet the needs of the community. It's different from Concord and Antioch, but it's all the same. It's all the same power, right? It's all the same messaging that we're trying to get across. You know, housing's a right.
Yeah. So just you touched on, I just want to make it clear for our viewers and our listeners that you guys have two different locations, correct? And so there's one in Concord, one in Antioch. And I remember Regina said, you know, even though that Concord and Antioch are about 15, 20 minutes away from each other, they're very starkly different just because of the demographics and what happened in Concord. And so I feel like that's good to kind of to highlight. So you, Regina, because you've been here for the past 2 to 3 years now. So did you start in Concord first and then they moved to Antioch?
So I started in Concord, and it was very much at the Keller House, which is kind of our administration office. And so I didn't have too much, you know, interaction with the programs at the Monument site at 2699 Monument. So whenever I would go there, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like Monument Impact just isn't one program, one focus. It's, you know, wealth management, you know, mental health, working with the county with CalWork. So like it was very different. And then a year into being at Monument Impact, we explored Antioch. We found a spot in Antioch down the hall from Family Justice Center, and which is like, okay, how are we going to collab? Like, how are we going to make Antioch just rich with resources like it is in Concord? And we started with our community engagement and just the same struggles, right? Housing, just housing in general, and then mental health. So right now, the two strong programs in Antioch is community engagement, focusing on tenant rights, and healthy community, focusing on Medi-Cal for all. So that's our biggest reach. And every Thursday, you know, we're seeing over 20 community members, and they're signing up for free Medi-Cal.
Oh, cool.
And I would say once a month we have our tenant clinics and our like tenant leadership courses at the Antioch site. So we're starting to like build a little momentum, I think.
Yeah, that's good. And Regina really touched on a lot, but I do want to reel it in because I'm super visual. So I want to be able to kind of paint a story and a visual of like what it looks like at Monument Impact. So if I'm walking down the street or somebody referred me to Monument, what does that look like when I first step doors in there? What's the orientation process, or what's the process?
Do you want to take this?
I'll take this. So There are 2 different offices, our Antioch and then our Monument. The third one, it's not in commission right now, the Keller House. If you're walking into either, there will be one person, a staff member, that will ask you, hi, how can I help you?
Okay.
In Monument, there's Tanya. She's our resource coordinator. She mans the desk, woman's the desk, and she has all the resources you need in terms of who I should contact you to or who I should connect you to, or if I can help you right then and there. We are not a full-on membership model, so it's a walk-in basis.
Okay.
We are going to have Tanya help direct the community member to the right program manager. And then on the other hand, if it's Antioch, we don't have a setup that's as formal. But if someone walks through our doors, it's me or Regina or one of the girls from our community engagement team. Tell us how it is. What's the situation that we can help you with? So it's very much per situation that we kind of guide them in whatever way they need to.
Okay. That makes sense. So can you touch a little bit on the different programs that Monument Impact has?
Yeah.
I can start off and then
Sounds good.
So if you walk into our Concord office, Tanya's there. She's like the big smile, the big welcoming smile. And if you were coming in, if you, Brianna Harris, was coming in like, I'm interested in taking some technology courses. At this moment, Monument Impact is known for their Spanish and Farsi technology courses, but you don't speak Farsi or Spanish. So I'm going to direct you to another partner, Opportunity Junction, that does English computer courses. You're like, but I'm also like kind of seeking self-employment. I'm seeking, I have this great idea in my mind. I want to sell something from my home, or I want to like open a food cart or business. So Tanya will direct you to RC, make an appointment with RC, and he will go through the whole licensing application process with the city of Concord or city of Antioch. If you tell him like, this is what I'm interested in, he'll do a whole research on what the type of business you're interested in, and see if it's even feasible, if it can even happen. Or let's just say that, I'm kind of out of work. I'm looking to pick up like a couple hours somewhere. Then you would have to meet with Christina on a Saturday and talk about our day labor program. Maybe you're interested in doing, handyman duties around someone's home. So someone calls our dispatch. We dispatch the members out, and they get picked up from our location, or they drive to the location, and it's a one-on-one contact with a community member. Like they pay you directly. No money is handled at Monument Impact, but there is a full screening process that we go to, because we are placing community members in community homes. Right. And our last and final would be mental. You could talk on mental health. We also have our healthy community, which is Zumba classes on at 3 parks here in Concord. We do our MPA 8-week program, mental health, and we also do the Medi-Cal signups in Concord and in Antioch. Sorry, I kind of spoke to it.
No, that's perfect.
And then I can wrap up with community engagement, where it's their main focus is housing. Like uplifting our tenants in Concord and Antioch, letting them know what their rights are, what their protections are, and just making sure everyone has a roof over their head. Most importantly,
is all of this free?
Yes.
I love free. Yeah. I love free 99.
Free.
And I'm glad. Me some gratis.
Gratis.
And I feel like it's really important, and it's been a common theme this season on our show, is that highlighting resources that are free. We live in a very expensive region of California in general.
Yeah.
It's all expensive, but just the Bay Area in general, and to know that there's free Zumba classes, there's free, there's somebody that can help you side by side if you want to open up a business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's totally cool.
Tanya also dedicates Fridays afternoons to help you fill out work applications.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Shout out to Tanya.
Tanya's corner.
You should be here. Yeah.
Yeah, she should be here.
We need Tanya on the guest. Okay. So just to kind of reel it in a little bit, so you work in a space that deals with some tough social issues, right? What drives your personal commitment to this work? What keeps you motivated?
Do you want to start?
Yeah.
To me, I see it everywhere. I see the unfairness, I see the inequality, and then matching it with seeing everyone in person and hearing individual stories, my personal commitment is just remembering how inhumane not providing these basic human rights to families and to individuals. To me, it's just really unfair. I think it's not okay, and it helps working with like-minded colleagues. There's a tirelessness that we have across the team, and it really shows. Like, we don't really work on job descriptions, even though of course we build off of that. And we're just reminded every day how constant and consistent this is. And I think just reeling it together as a team all the time, of understanding what we can do and what we can't do, also helps to think about it for the long run. We've had some really incredible policy wins and day-to-day changes, so or day-to-day transformation in how our community's members' lives have changed. So that helps it too. Yeah. So that's kind of my personal why.
I think personally, and I think it's safe to not to speak on behalf of everyone in the organization, but a lot of us are first generation. You know, a lot of us come from out of the country, you know. And
are you first generation as well?
I'm first generation.
I'm first generation. Our director is first generation. So just seeing, you know, families that have come from out of the country, or ourselves, like seeing our parents struggle and make it. Then, but that was a different time, right? That was like the 70s. Like nowadays, you know, they're not frowned upon. They were frowned upon, but like, I just feel like it's deeper now, right? I feel like the struggle is a lot more harder, and there's all these perceptions that are, you know, laid upon the community, right? And I just wish everyone can see that, right? I wish they can see, they come here looking for growth. They had growth and they couldn't do it in their country. And we have doctors in our technology class.
Architects.
We have architects, accountants in our technology class. And for some reason, they're all like, you know, we just assume that this country is going to give us everything that we can. But as us being first generations, it's hard. It's hard. So I think personally is seeing our technology students, our emerging business students, even our CalWorks, our county CalWorks contract, and our mental health, like the growth in them and the hope, I think, that Monument Impact is really given to them. And just like that security, that warm hug I feel that people feel when they walk into Monument. The warm hug. Blanket.
And thank you for bringing up the fact that these are doctors, these are accountants, these are people who were very instrumental in their own communities, and now they're coming here and they're not feeling like they're going to be represented, because these are not just criminals. These are not just people who were bums in their own country and now they're just trying to come here and mooch off of our resources. Like, no, these are people who are actually making a difference. And so kind of stepping away from that stigma, I feel like it's very important. So thank you for bringing that part up. And then also Monument Impact is open to everyone. So this is not just for people who are coming from a different country. This is open to anyone. And it's because I remember Regina said that Concord got an influx of a lot of Spanish-speaking immigrants, and so that's why a lot of them come to Monument Impact, but it's not like they only serve that. So I just want to make that part clear.
No, when we had the influx of our Afghan community, our Ukrainians that came in, they all came to Monument Impact and they were all served. And they will continue to be served. The fact that we have our technology classes available in Farsi, and Jawed does an amazing job in finding resources for the community. So it's just not, a lot of people assume like, oh, y'all only help Spanish speaking.
Right.
Like, no, we help. If we can communicate somehow, like, you're being helped.
We help everybody.
There are some programs that we follow that may require a certain amount that they make, or to make under that amount so that we can serve them. So there are just some requirements in terms of income potentially that we don't dictate. But other than that, it is open to all. whoever walks in our doors, we'll find them a resource.
Yeah.
If it's not through us, it's through a partner.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clearing that up. So my next question, can you share a story of how Monument Impact's efforts have made a tangible difference in someone's life or in the community? Give us a story.
Oof.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's two really good stories, and I'm gonna let Amy kick this off because this story,
Yeah.
we were just kind of reviewing it, and I was like, "Girl, that better be at the end of the year."
Yeah, we had this incredible gentleman be a part of our mental health course. It's called Mentes Positivas en Acción, and it's been going on for I'm not sure how many years in specific. 10 years. Oh yeah, 10 years. We just celebrated a milestone.
John Muir.
I'm blinking here. Sorry, Lore. So it's a community-led program for community members. People that are from the community are teaching these courses about breathing techniques, about meditation, about how to relax through stressful times, etc. Physical or tangible tools. And Siriaco was a part of our recent MPA class, and he told us that he's been struggling with high blood pressure since 2008. So it's been about 6 years. And in Western culture, you're put on pills. You are given a cookie cutter situation or solution, and so he's been taking these pills for 6 years. And after 6 weeks of our course, he had gone to the doctors, got his lab results, and it was completely stabilized.
Wow.
And his doctor asked him what he did because it was unbelievable.
Right.
And so he doesn't have high blood pressure anymore, and he's off the pills. And he just asked us, like, where was this program? I wish I had this, and I recommend it to anyone and everyone. And physically, his life has changed. And mentally, he said, I will always have something to fall back on during stressful times because I was not in a good place when I met you all. And it's rare for men to be in these spaces. I think 9 out of 10 are all women in our courses. And even then, it's really hard for Latinos or immigrants to be in a space that way, to talk about mental health. So that is one way I find that we're changing the stigma and changing the physical lives and outcome of people's lives.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I love that story.
that story.
It's just like, I feel every year out of our healthy community course, and not only meant, but I just feel like those sort of stories are just like, yo, we just like, you really just saved someone's life.
Yeah.
Like, he's like stabilized.
Yeah.
I think one of our greatest wins, which is I just feel like everyone talks about after 8 long years, 8 long years of working in collaboration with other members, and Raise the Roof, shout out to Raise the Roof also, the coalition. After 8 years, rent stabilization in Just Cause passed in Concord and in Antioch.
What does that mean?
This means that your landlord cannot raise your rent more than 3%.
Oh, wow.
It's currently, I could be wrong, I think it's at currently 2.52%, and it'll stay at that until July 2025. After July 2025, it could go up to like 2.57, but it cannot go ever in our existence to 3%, past 3%.
Oh, wow.
So that's huge, you know, like, yay.
Yes.
That's huge. I mean, our community engagement team was really out there door knocking, just making the community aware, let them know that, you know, I know I keep touching on this, but just like your tenant rights, you know, like not your human rights, but like the right to have a home for your family that is warm and stable, because I feel like that's how our mental health program came to be. If your mind ain't right, your family ain't right, and that trickles down to your little ones in school. Yeah. So I really think that Just Cause rent ordinance was that's a huge win for us.
Yeah,
and that came out of Monument Impact?
Not just Monument Impact. It was a huge collaboration with eBase, Rising Juntos, EBHO. I'm so sorry. I know I missed other organizations, but we're going to keep it as Raise the Roof.
But I would say, Monument Impacts, the community engagement team was very instrumental, sending out education, policy, information, dates. They showed up
every day, every night,
every city council
long
meeting,
hours,
5
at
hours
city council.
at a night, sometimes 6. past 12 a.m.
It's dedication.
A dedication. People that had to leave Concord came back to Concord.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of things that trickled into everyone's like daily lives too.
And I feel like that's what has built the relationship in the community, because after 8 long years, you know, one can give up hope. And I just feel like that's how you build that trust in your community. Like, we're really here for you. Like, just give us time. It's a process.
Yeah. And I'm glad you touched on trust, because that is definitely my next question. And it's 11/11. See, I love how everything just comes together. Monument Impact works closely with local residents to help them advocate for themselves. How does the organization build trust and engagement with the community?
Yeah. Do you want me to start?
I can.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, kind of like building off the win with rent stabilization and just cause, I think what we try to do is educate our community, and it can start as small as, like, I don't want to say political training, because I get a little misconstrued and but it's teaching, what district do you live in? Does any of us know what district we live in? Who's our council member?
I know.
Who's our board of supervisors? And just teaching them that. That's kind of like, you know, that's important. I just learned that this year.
Yeah.
You know, and so I just feel like I was never really in tune. Like, you just kind of go of word of mouth, and it's just like teaching them, like, it's okay to know who your council member is. Like, you might see that person walking down the street, like, hey, I live in your district. You know, like, unfortunately, my apartment is falling apart. And your council members want to hear that. You know, they want to hear it from their constituents. So I think it's just building that with our community.
And I think it's also important to keep abreast on those kind of things, because in our last episode with the COO of Clubhouse International, so the people who run the clubhouse essentially, he said that the change of government can also take away from the mental health
we're super
the mental health stuff, just funding, I'm sorry, not stuff. And so he was saying, because I asked, like, you know, have any clubhouses closed before, because we have over 300 clubhouses, and he was like, wow, and he was just like, yeah, sometimes a change in government can take away some funding. So if you don't know, you know, the party who just got elected or what have you, and what their policies are, then you never know what's kind of coming. And so it's good to kind of know and be in the know.
Absolutely.
It's kind of be in the know, and I think it's hard for us to adjust. And I feel like that's a learning thing for me, like learning to adjust and just, you know, learning what's new in the pipeline in a sense. But yeah,
I would say, like, Monument Impact really helps community members connect the dots as to why things are important and why things are happening in your community. And that builds trust too, so that they're familiar with what's happening in their community and their neighbors. But the one thing we talked about is, like, kind of like our special sauce is that there is a very non-judgmental aura that every person in our team really holds. If you haven't been able to pay rent, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like,
that's real.
Let's figure out, how do we get you assistant? Why is this happening? Or maybe tenants are kicked out from for a reason because a relationship didn't work out. We're not here to judge.
Right.
What can we get to make sure you're safe? Are you okay? Like, do you need any assistance in terms of safety, et cetera, and non-judgmentalness, and just like we're treating people like our cousins or our grandparents and stuff like that, because we see a lot of these people through those eyes. And people, especially our program team who work directly with the community members, there's just this constant, like, empathy, non-judgmentalness, and I don't know if that's a word, non-judgmental
It is today.
And it is today. Thank you, Brianna. And having our vision for what we want Monument Impact to be in the long run.
And these community members always come back when there's an event. Here's an example. Like, we had our gala, and we invited our emerging business participants who are thriving and being successful, and they always give back. You know, we give them the opportunity. That's not like it's free. You know, they pay for an ad in our program, and it includes a ticket, and they'll buy another ticket to bring a partner, and they'll donate. So that's, you know, like, wow. Like, not only
testimony.
A participant, but they're also giving back to their own community. And or they'll come back and like, how can I help volunteer? Like Monument Impact was super instrumental in my growth.
Yeah.
So we love seeing that.
Yeah.
Like emerging businesses definitely, they're doing it. So it's technology.
That's I see a lot of parallels with Monument Impact in the clubhouse, because we have situations like that too, where, you know, some families would be like, thank you, and they'll help, you know, donate and stuff like that, because the clubhouse has been instrumental in someone's mental health recovery or their loved one, you know. So we are, and then it becomes like a family, because you see them at when we have our Thanksgiving dinners, and you get to meet their family, because that's the only time where we really invite like families to the clubhouse to be able to participate. But it's just like, oh, okay, and you put a face to the family member, sweet. And then you, next time you see him, you're like, how's your dad, or, you know, how's your brother, how's your sister? So it all just creates a sense of community, and I think this is what this episode is all about as well. So community organizing can be sometimes a little slow and difficult process. What do you think are the most effective strategies for mobilizing people and creating lasting change in communities that have been historically marginalized? I know it's pretty loaded, so if you don't have the answer right now, that's totally fine as well. But just kind of think about it a little bit, or what have been some effective strategies? And if not, we can move on. We could act like this question never happened.
I think it goes back to doing our leadership classes, our community leadership classes. You know, if Amy was to call in and she's like, I have an unlawful detainer, I'm about to kicked out, or, you know, 3 tenants in the building that I live in, you know, we feel like this is unfair. We're like, oh, you're going to be a great leader, a great tenant, you know, organizer, leader. So we sit with them, we interview them, like, are you sure you want to be dedicated to this? Like, it does take up your personal time to join us. We can, you know, help you spread the word. It's almost like our MPA program, the mental health, where we have community members training other community members through our promotoras. It's the same thing with our community leadership classes. It's just, you know, training the next person to like train your neighbor. I think that
a lot of personal touches.
I think that's what comes to mind.
Personal touches. It's the door knocking.
It's the door knocking.
It's the on the ground outreach. I think that's how we've gotten so much natural sense of relationship built. Like, door knocking has really been a really strong strategy. Leaving flyers, talking one-on-one. It's maybe not the first time, but the second time and the third time, they'll find out that we're here to support them. We're here to share just resources. And we have promotores that go into the community. They go into Ross's and Didi's discounts and grocery outlet, places that we know where some of our community members might be shopping. So handing them things, talking one-on-one, and it's very relational. Oh, is this your daughter? Or like this, and do you know anyone that has cancer before? Like, these are some resources. So I think our team is very relational in that sense. So door-to-door outreaching, meeting people where they're at. And I think Jenny, our community engagement manager, had said follow-up was really important.
Follow-up is huge.
They might call us. We help them out with something. 3 months down, maybe we're calling them, did you get out of the house? How are you doing with the rent these days? Et cetera, et cetera.
It's the follow-up.
It's the follow-up.
It's going to court with them. Like sitting there with them. And just making sure the clerk is filing the paper appropriately. I mean, we have no legal background, but we have, we outsource with Centro Legal. And I think, you know, you do something so repetitive, like you kind of get familiar, like, okay, you need to stamp this.
Like, walking with them to the post office. Like, nothing is small enough of a task if we have the time to do it, or if they're, you know, they will do it if they can.
Exactly.
I love that.
Filling out resumes, etc.
I love that. I feel like as humans, we should operate like that in general.
Nothing is
like,
too...
I shouldn't be scared to go knock on my neighbor's door to ask her for some sugar because I'm in the middle of cooking something right now and I can't go to the store. There should be no shame around that.
And I miss those days.
Yeah, I was never part of those days.
I did that like 10 years ago.
Like 28.
I asked for a sugar cube.
Yeah.
And they gave me a sugar cube.
Like, no. I remember when, like, growing up in the city, you know, like our neighbors, like from across the street, like to my mom, like, oye, like, no pude ir a la tienda por tortillas. And back in the day, they sell the dozen pack of tortillas by Mi Rancho. Not the one out here, the one in the city.
Oh, okay.
And it would be like, here, mija, like, take these across the street to the señora.
Right.
Oh, I love that.
Right. Yeah. Like I think, what did I forget? I needed foil for my lasagna to bake it, and I didn't have any. And I'm like, I can't go to the store for this. Like, I got lasagna. And then I called my neighbor who I used to live next door to a couple years ago, and she was just like, yeah. And then we got to sit and chat and
like,
gave
actually,
her some lasagna and catch up. Like, it was nice. I'm like, this is nice. Like, why don't we do this more often?
The non-scheduled way to support one another.
Yeah.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah.
The impromptu,
I feel like we should operate that. We should not be scared to help our community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This has been a very insightful conversation. It's been very helpful to kind of help me paint a picture, or you guys help me paint a picture of what goes on at Monument Impact. So to wrap up just a little bit, Monument Impact has some good momentum going. What's next? What's in the future?
There's a lot.
So in the future, because Amie mentioned we're doing strategic planning, is we really want to like start reaching out to the youth.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Our director is big on youth. Her background in San Diego was with Outward Bound, helping our BIPOC community get into college. And since the moment I met her, she was like, so y'all do anything with the kids?
Right. Right.
I was like, no, who do you? I'm still new. So now, she's 2 years deep, and we're going to do it.
That's good.
We fingers crossed. In Antioch, we'll be launching the first GI program, focusing on 18 to 24-year-olds. And making sure, helping them succeed in their future educational goals or apprenticeships.
Yeah.
So it's still super in the works. We're hoping to serve, 20 to 30, and it's a small number, but, 20 impactful, stories, youth in our stories, like working with LMC, DVC, some seniors from the high school who are about to graduate, but 18 to 24, you must prove that you're going to further your education and support them for 18 months with hopefully $500.
Right.
Look at me, I'm whispering.
It's like new. It's new news for us.
Yeah.
So we're that's big, and definitely working, exploring, youth programming, or not so much youth, but like junior, seniors in high school.
I love that. I love that you brought up the youth. The youth can be forgotten about a lot especially when you don't have kids. Like, I never thought about youth, it being in my 20s. I mean, I guess I'm still the youth, but but when you live a life where you don't have kids or you don't interact with kids a lot, you just kind of think about your adult life. And so I feel like the youth is very important because they're the most vulnerable, and then it's easier to catch someone at their youth as opposed to trying to change things when they're 50 or 40, and not saying it's not doable, but you kind of want to catch those early childhood development and resources and stuff like that for them, and I feel like that's really important. So kudos to you all thinking about that, and kudos to the lady that introduced or put that thought in your mind. I love that. Is there any lasting things that any of you want to touch
fun
on?
Stuff coming up.
Yeah,
Amy's really gonna.
What am I doing?
The whole processes, like our mission, like really.
It's like,
She's like, we're doing a lot.
On the programs end, I'm like, okay, I'm familiar with the programs end. We want to further our reach into new partnerships and new
funding.
Let's cut that out.
yeah, it's okay to say funding.
Wait, I'm like, what am I saying? What am I saying? What am I saying?
But you've also been telling the stories of your members. That's a nice project.
I think within the communications world, there's so much that we can do to share the real impact that we're making day to day. And it's going to take a lot more intention versus just sharing just to share on social media.
Or just sharing words.
Yeah.
I think next year.
I'm very excited to potentially open up a podcast, potentially having more stories and blog posts to share the depth of our work versus just in and out social media posts. So in the communications realm and media relations, I have a lot of ideas on how to make Monument Impact not be seen as Monument Crisis Center or have it be seen as a grassroots organization, because we're far from that, but we can often get that image because we do so much one-on-one work. And it's not so much processes and whatnot. And what else? In Concord, I
think our legacy programs are just as strong as they are, you know.
Yeah.
I think the youth program that we hope to launch in like January, hopefully some like listening sessions or fact sessions, and then, you know, working with the mayor apprentice program in Antioch, also, you know, having to like interns in our office and teaching them what like community leadership looks like. And teaching them like just maybe some basic admin skills. I think Concord is so well set up and built. Those legacy programs will, I think, in my opinion, forever be there for the parents, for the adults. And I just feel like we need to wiggle, you know, maybe elevate a little.
Well, one thing that we have been seeing is all the input community members are putting into affordable housing being built into Concord. So that's something we're really excited to see the participation grow into, and we'll see what that looks like in terms of actual infrastructure and development in the next year. So that's something we're following closely, and Monument Impact has been a big part in that, and we'll see where guaranteed income pilots continue with Monument Impact
at a county level too.
Right on. Well, Regina, Amie, this has been an excellent episode. I'm glad we got to do it. Thank you for giving us some insight on Monument Impact, letting our viewers know about Monument Impact. Where can they become a potential member, per se, of Monument, or how can we reach you guys?
MonumentImpact.org.
There you go.
Yes.
That's what I was getting at.
2699 Monument.
Come to 2699 Monument, walk
Ask for
in,
Tanya.
and you'll see everything that we just talked about.
Right on.
I mean, go from there.
Well, thank you. This has been another episode of Connected, and we are out of here.
Yay.
See ya.